Meta thinks of us as their biggest competitor. They started making these like giant offers to, a lot of people on our team, $100 million signing bonuses. I think we have some new technology that could just do self-driving for standard cars way better than any current approach has worked.
Do you think that's possible, that we have like crazy super intelligence that's like 400 IQ?
I totally think that's possible. AI will actually discover new science.
What is the time frame for GPT-5?
Probably sometime this summer.
Sam Altman has been on a Scorched Earth podcast tour these last few days, where he's talked about Meta trying to poach OpenAI researchers for $100 million+ compensation. He talks about when we can expect GPT-5 and what it'll actually be, and AI's ability to discover new science. So I've pulled the most interesting clips from these different podcasts. Let's watch them now. I'll give you my thoughts. And this video is brought to you by our amazing partner, Vulture. More on them later in the video. So this is an interview between Sam Altman and Jack Altman. And yes, they have the same last name because they're brothers. And this is Jack Altman's podcast.
Speaking of social, actually, can I ask you about the whole Meta scale thing?
Of course.
So what's the situation there?
Meta thinks of us as their biggest competitor.
All right, first, Meta thinks of OpenAI as their biggest competitor. In fact, I bet every single top tech company, Google, Meta, Microsoft, Amazon, all of them probably think of OpenAI as their biggest competitor right now because they are also on the frontier of AI innovation. And they're expanding into hardware with the Johnny Ive acquisition. They're building consumer applications. He has said that he wants to be the first place people go for artificial intelligence. And so I understand that. And yes, at the same time, Meta has stumbled with the Llama 4 family of models. They're really good, but they're not quite as good as the competition. And when you invest as much money as Meta has into their hardware architecture, into actually training the models, post-training the models, the researchers that they've hired, Zuck wants the best and he has not gotten it yet. So of course, he's trying a different strategy with the acquisition of Scale AI, specifically to bring Alexander Wang, the CEO, over to lead their superintelligence team. And next, Sam Altman's gonna reveal that Meta has been trying to poach OpenAI researchers for $100 million+ offers. This is insane. And those are bonus offers. That's not even annual compensation. These are ridiculous numbers. And look, Zuck is trying a lot of things, and I would not bet against Zuckerberg. He is taking a brute force approach. If one thing doesn't work, he will go after the next. Let me show you that part now.
I think it is rational for them to keep trying. Their current AI efforts have not worked as well as they've hoped. And I respect like being aggressive and continuing to try new things. And again, given that I think this is like rational, I expect that if this one doesn't work out, they'll keep trying new ones after that. I remember once hearing Zuck talk about how, Google in the early days of Facebook, it was rational for them to try social, even though it was like clear to people at Facebook that was not going to work. And I feel a little bit similar here, but they started making these like giant offers to, a lot of people on our team, like $100 million signing bonuses, more than that comp per year.
That's crazy.
And it is crazy. I'm really happy that at least so far, none of our best people have decided to take them up on that. I think that people sort of look at the two paths and say, all right, OpenAI's got a really good shot, a much better shot at actually delivering on superintelligence, and also may eventually be the more valuable company. But I think the strategy of a ton of upfront guaranteed comp, and that being the reason you tell someone to join, like really the degree to which they're focusing on that and not the work and not the mission, I don't think that's going to set up a great culture.
So there it is. Meta is trying to poach OpenAI researchers for $100 million+ bonuses. And that is not even including the increased compensation beyond that they would get. And Sam Altman talks about that not creating the best culture or incentives. And that's actually kind of the ethos in Silicon Valley. A lot of the best people, whether they're engineers or researchers, they're joining a company to work with the best people on the biggest mission and the hardest problems, the biggest problems and the most likely to succeed. But of course, he also says, look, if we succeed, we will probably become a more valuable company than Meta in the long run. And of course, that means the economic outcome for our researchers, our team, is going to be outsized compared to Meta. But look, $100 million as a signing bonus is a lot of money, but apparently nobody has left OpenAI yet. Now, To me, $100 million for a single person seems insane. So that was an interesting insight as to the talent battle that's going on in the AI world right now. And if you want to benefit from the insane amount of money Zuck is shelling out for the top AI researchers, you can run all of the best open source models on Vultr, the sponsor of today's video. Vultr is the world's largest independent cloud provider, and they've been a fantastic partner to us, so I'm really excited to tell you about them again today. So if you need to provision GPUs, whether you're just tinkering on your own AI project or you're scaling up to production, Vultr is the place to go. They offer the latest AMD and NVIDIA GPUs, spanning 32 locations across 6 continents, so you're going to get the lowest latency. They also offer industry-leading price to performance with serious accessibility and reliability. So with Vultr's global, fully composable cloud infrastructure, you move your applications closer to your users and frees you from vendor lock-in, which you know I've talked about quite a bit on this channel. They also have Vultr Kubernetes engine, which allows you to scale beyond just a single container. So if you're tired of waiting in line for other GPU providers, check out Vultr today. They're offering my viewers $300 in credits for your first 30 days when you visit getvultr.com/Berman. And remember to use code Berman300. Thanks again to Vultr. Back to the video. All right, in this next clip, Sam Altman talks about AI discovering new science. If you've watched this channel at all, you know, especially over the last couple months, I've given multiple examples of research papers and actual products that have discovered new innovations in new science. Google's Alpha Evolve project discovered a nearly 1% improvement in overall efficiency of their entire infrastructure, and they rolled it out and it works. So maybe 1% doesn't sound like a lot, but when you're operating at Google's scale, that is billions of dollars. So Sam Altman does believe we are going to have AI that discovers new science. Let's listen.
The thing that I think will be the most impactful on that 5 to 10 year time frame is AI will actually discover new science. And this is a crazy claim to make, but I think it is true. And if it is correct, then over time, I think that will dwarf everything else.
Why do you think it'll discover new science?
Well, I think we've cracked reasoning in the models. We have a long way to go, but I think we know what to do. And, you know, O3 is already like pretty smart. You hear people say like, wow, this is like a good PhD.
What does it mean to crack reasoning?
The models can now do the kind of reasoning in a particular domain you'd expect a PhD in that field to be able to do. In some sense, we're like, oh, okay, the AIs are like a top competitive programmer in the world now. Or AIs can get like a top score on the world's hardest math competitions, or AIs can like, you know, do problems that I'd expect an expert PhD in my field to do. And we're like not that impressed.
It's crazy.
Yeah, I gotta say, we all got, or I'll at least speak for myself, I got pretty used to the fact that AI is getting some of the highest scores in the entire world on coding competitions, on math competitions, pretty darn quickly. So it's interesting to see how humans evolve and become used to these incredible accomplishments from AI.
Did the way reasoning happen the way you thought it would happen?
Like often has happened in the history of OpenAI, pretty often, the dumbest first approach turns out to work. So I don't think I should be surprised by that anymore. And yet it's like a little surprising each time.
So reasoning will lead to science going faster, or just new stuff, or both?
Both. I mean, you already hear scientists who say they're faster with AI. Like we don't have AI maybe autonomously doing science, but if a human scientist is 3 times as productive using O3, that's still a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
And then as that keeps going and the AI can like autonomously do some science.
Yeah, that is definitely the thing I am probably most excited about with artificial intelligence is the acceleration of science, the discovery of new drugs, new health solutions, maybe cures for diseases that we couldn't even have imagined were curable. Very exciting. And especially when AI can do its own research, that is when we just throw as much compute behind it as we can. And we really do hit that intelligence explosion. All right, next, Sam is asked about physical robots, self-driving, basically taking the AI that OpenAI has been incredibly good at producing and moving that to the physical world. This is something that Sam admits they are behind on, but he kind of casually, with a throwaway statement, says, we have some technology that might be better at self-driving than anything on the market for standard cars. So no LiDAR, no radar. I don't know. What does that actually look like? Let's listen.
What about like moving physical things around?
behind, but I think we'll get there. For example, I think we have some new technology that could just do self-driving for standard cars way better than any current approach has worked. And that might not be quite what you meant by like
No, it is.
humanoid robots.
Yeah.
But if our AI techniques can like really go drive a car, that's still pretty cool.
Yeah.
And now he's going to touch on humanoid robots. We don't know anything coming out of OpenAI about robots yet, but he's talking about it as if OpenAI is going to do it. So we already know they're building a hardware device with Johnny Ive's startup. We know that they've acquired Windsurf, so they're doing coding. They're building consumer applications. I mean, what isn't OpenAI building at this point?
Humanoid robots are the dream, obviously. I really care about that. I think we will get there eventually. It's been like a hard mechanical engineering challenge.
That's more the issue?
No, both things are hard. But like, even if we had the perfect brain right now, I don't think we have the body yet. We actually, very early on in OpenAI, we used to work on this robotic hand. And it was hard for all the wrong reasons. Like the thing just broke all the time. The simulator was like a little bit off.
Wow.
But we'll get there.
Yeah.
I think 5 to 10 years we'll have great humanoid robots.
Yeah.
Like amazing. And they'll just like walk down the street, be doing stuff.
Yeah, I mean, you
5 to 10 years for incredible humanoid robots that walk down the street and just do stuff. That seems like a slightly aggressive timeline, but maybe not that far off.
I think that will be one of the moments that not only unlocks a bunch of stuff in the world, I think that will feel the strangest. We get used to a lot of things. We get used to like ChatGPT doing these things that would have sounded like a miracle 5 years ago. But if you walk down the street and it's like half robots, are you going to get used to that one right away? I don't know. Probably you do, but it feels like a big difference.
All right, next, this is going to be from the newly launched OpenAI Podcast, in which Andrew Main, former OpenAI employee who now runs the OpenAI Podcast, interviews Sam Altman. And the first thing I want to show you is some hints on GPT-5's release. Let's watch.
What is the time frame for GPT-5? When are we going to see this?
Probably sometime this summer.
Right?
I don't know exactly when. One thing that we go back and forth on is how much are we supposed to like turn up the big number on new models versus what we did with GPT-4o, which is just better and better and better and better.
All right, so that was a quick little throwaway, but GPT-5 probably coming this summer. And more importantly, these future models, GPT-5, GPT-6, will be kind of all-encompassing models, omni models, where you don't have to think about whether you want GPT-4o or O3 mini or something else. You just give it the prompt and it will deliver the best result for the best price. Let's listen.
It means we need to like bifurcate the model tree.
Okay, even more complicated names.
I hope we don't have to do that. I am excited to just get to GPT-5 and then
Yeah.
GPT-6. And I think that'll be easier for people to use. And you won't have to think, do I want O4 mini high or
Right.
O3 or 4.0. Like,
O4 mini high is what I use to code. When I
Yeah.
want to have a conversation, it's O3.
I think we will be out of that whole mess soon.
Yeah.
For now.
Next, of course, he has to take a dig at Elon Musk. And specifically, after Elon Musk went to the government, Sam Altman claims he was using that governmental privilege to unfairly compete with OpenAI. So let's listen to that.
I had said, I think also externally, but at least internally, after the election, that I didn't think Elon was going to abuse his power in the government to unfairly compete. And I regret to say I was wrong about that. I mean, I don't like being wrong in general, but mostly
Right.
I just think it's really unfortunate for the country that he would do these things. And I genuinely didn't think he was going to. I'm grateful that the administration has really done the right thing and stuck up to that kind of behavior. But yeah, it sucks.
I don't actually know exactly what he's talking about. And so I actually had to look it up. And I asked Gemini, what is Sam Altman talking about when he's saying Elon Musk was abusing his power? So here are a few things. OpenAI, along with partners like Oracle and SoftBank, was arranging a major AI infrastructure project called Stargate with G42, an AI company in the UAE. But the interference, according to reports, upon learning that his own company, XAI, was not included in the deal, Musk became upset. He then allegedly warned UAE officials that the project would not get White House approval from President Trump unless XAI was given the role. That, if true, is very bad. But despite alleged pressure from Musk, the White House reviewed the agreement and was allowed to proceed. So if that is what Sam Altman is talking about, that would make sense. And then here is his final comments about Elon Musk and the way he views competition.
Really successful companies built on this incredible scientific discovery. And I wish Elon would be less zero-sum about it.
Yeah, so he's saying basically Elon Musk thinks if OpenAI wins a little bit, that means XAI can't win or it actually hurts XAI. That might be true. The AI world is hyper competitive. And so who knows? Who knows if he's right? We'll see. All right, next, Sam Altman is going to give his definition of super intelligence. This is not AGI. This is super intelligence beyond AGI.
Maybe a better question is, what will it take for something I would call super intelligence?
Okay.
If we had a system that was capable of either doing autonomous discovery of new science or greatly increasing the capability of people using the tool to discover new science, that would feel like kind of almost definitionally super intelligence to me and be a wonderful thing for the world, I think.
I like that definition. I don't know if I necessarily agree. I have to digest a little bit. But yeah, I think that's a fun definition to apply to super intelligence. All right, and the last thing I want to show you is some hints as to what's coming with the Johnny Ive acquisition and hardware, physical, real hardware in the real world that OpenAI might produce in the future.
OpenAI just announced that you guys are building hardware. You had the video with you and Johnny Ive talking about you guys have been talking about and collaborating for a couple of years. Obviously, you can't. I mean, well, I could ask you, is it on you right now?
No, it is not.
All right.
It's going to be a while.
Okay.
We're going to try to do something at like a crazy high level of quality. And that does not come fast. But computers, software and hardware, just the way we think of current computers, were designed for a world without AI. And now we're in like a very different world. And what you want out of hardware and software is changing quite rapidly. You might want something that is way more aware of its environment, that has way more context in your life. You might want to interact with it in a different way than like typing and looking at a screen. And we've been exploring that for a while, and we've got a couple of ideas we're really quite excited about. I think it will take time for people to get used to what it means to use a computer in this kind of a world, because it is so different now. But if you like really trusted an AI to understand all the context of your life and your question and make good judgments on your behalf, where you could like have it sit in a meeting, listen to the whole meeting, know what it was like allowed to share with who and what it shouldn't share with anyone, and you know, kind of what your preferences would be, and then you ask it one question and you trust that it's going to go do the right follow-ups with the right people and do like, you can then imagine a totally different kind of how you use a computer to get done what you want.
All right, so he actually said quite a bit right there. Obviously, Sam Altman wants his Steve Jobs iPhone 2007 moment. He wants to launch something that changes the entire world. And he probably is pretty well positioned to do so with OpenAI as the brain and now Johnny Ive as the hardware. However, he did say something that makes me think maybe not. And he specifically said, it'll take a while for people to get used to this new way to interact. But that is not how the iPhone went. The iPhone did have a pretty new way of interacting. It was a digital keyboard versus a physical keyboard, which was really one of the first times we've ever seen that. And people got it immediately. The form factor was novel to most people in the entire world, and people just got it. The first time I picked up an iPhone, the day it came out, it was so intuitive and it just worked. And I was able to, flick and type, and all of these things just felt so nice. And even when a kid uses an iPad or an iPhone, and I'm talking about 1.5, 2, 3 years old, they almost immediately can use it. But that's probably not going to be the case for this AI device. So what do you think? How intuitive is it going to be? I really have no idea what the form factor is going to be. But if I had to guess, it's going to be some kind of device that you carry on you, not something you wear, something that has eyes, cameras, ears, microphones, probably has speakers so it can talk to you. And it needs to take all of this input from the real world. But at the same time, it seems unlikely it's going to have a screen because it needs to be really small, really portable, really personal. And so I don't know. What do you think it's going to look like? Let me know in the comments down below. So that's it for today. Sam Altman revealed a whole bunch of new information, definitely went scorched earth on Meta, on Elon Musk. And yeah, this is all super interesting to me. Hopefully you enjoyed it. And one more time, thank you to Vultr for sponsoring this video. They've been a fantastic partner. Make sure you check them out. Links down below. If you enjoyed this video, please consider giving a like and subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one.